There, Guardians. Hope you guys are doing well. Today we will be talking about Arc Hunter, otherwise known as Arc Strider. So in this video, I'm going to be covering the 3 supers, the abilities, the 4 aspects, as well as some key exotics. Now to start off with the supers. So the first one is Arc Staff. So you take out your staff. This is a roaming super, which means you roam around the battlefield, and you have a couple options. So you can light attack, you can do a heavy attack, or you can guard or block, which deflects incoming projectiles. So on its own, this super is not very good, but there are 2 exotics I'll talk about at the end that work very well with it. So the next super we have is Gathering Storm. So it has a lot of words here, but basically you take your staff and you throw it. So I'll show you that here. So this one is going to be your bread and butter for Arc Hunter. This is a fantastic all-around super. It's decent at clear because you can see the range here, the visual range, but also it's pretty solid for DPS. It does a lot of damage to bosses. So that one is going to be your go-to when you're not sure which super to use. So the last super we have is Storm's Edge. You basically take an electrified dagger, you're going to throw it, and then you're going to blink to that location, and you do a circular strike around that location. So this one was released for the final shape. It's pretty cool. It definitely looks super cool. As far as how good it is, I think in most scenarios, Gathering Storm is going to beat this pretty much by all metrics, including ad clear and DPS. But if you want something that looks cool, definitely give it a shot. So next, we're going to be looking at abilities. So starting with our dodges. So nothing fancy here, standard dodges. So you have Gambler's Dodge, which recharges your melee, and Marksman, which reloads your weapons. For our jumps, so we have the 3 standard jumps here, triple, high, and strafe. As always, I recommend triple jump, but similar to Void Warlock, you also have a blink option here, and that's what that looks like. The same criticism on the Void Warlock video. I don't see a lot of cases where triple jump isn't just better than this, but if you want to look cool, if you want to blink around the battlefield, it definitely has its use. Up next, we have melees. So we have 2 here for Arc Hunter. So the first one is called Combination Blow. So this is a quick melee ability. It temporarily increases your melee damage when you defeat a target. This also stacks 3 times. And then defeating targets with this ability fully restores your class ability energy, which are your dodges, and also restores a little bit of health. So Combination Blow is one of the best melees in the game, and I will show you why here. So you see I defeat a target, and then I have Combination Blow on the left. Now paired with Gambler's Dodge, I can do this infinitely. And once you get it to ×3, it's hard to tell how much damage I'm doing because these guys die in one shot regardless, but ×3 is a ridiculous amount of damage. This is like boss level damage from just your melee. So it's very useful. I'm also getting health back every time I do it, every time I'm defeating a target. At the end, I'll go over an exotic that supercharges this already strong ability. But yeah, this is Combination Blow. Next for melees, we have Disorienting Blow. So this one is solid, but in most cases, you're going to want to use Combination Blow. But this one's pretty simple. You just strike a target. You don't need to kill him, but the melee ability will allow you to blind the target, and then it also amplifies you. So I'll show you that here. So I have my charge melee ready to go, and then I strike a target, and I'm now amplified. And then there's an AoE blinding effect. So pretty useful in scenarios where you might just want blind, really easy to get. You can't loop this one like you can Combination Blow, so the gameplay loop is not as infinite, but it definitely has its use. So next we're going to talk about grenades. So first grenade is Arc Bolt. I normally don't cover Arc Bolt grenade, but on Arc Hunter specifically, there's a lot of use cases for it. So I'm going to throw it, and then it chains to enemies. Up next we have Pulse Grenade. So this one just periodically damages targets. If you're ever not sure what to use for grenades, Pulse Grenade is the go-to option. Damages targets, decent damage. Moving on to the aspects. So the first one we have is Flow State. So it states defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. And as a reminder, if you're ever not sure what these mean, jolted and amplified, you can always read the descriptions on the right. So then while you're amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly and you are more resilient while dodging, which just means you have damage reduction, and also your reload speed is greatly increased. So to test this, I'm going to be using this weapon because it has Volt Shot on it, which jolts an enemy. So I'm going to kill an enemy, reload for Volt Shot, and you see I'm immediately amplified on the left. So good way to get amplified. And now my reload speed is amazing. I also have another amplified perk, which is the speed booster. And as long as I'm killing things with Jolt, then I will reset my Amplified. The next aspect that we have is Lethal Current. So after dodging, your next melee attack has increased lunge range, jolts the target, and creates a damaging aftershock. And then damaging any jolted target with melee attacks also blinds them. So I'll show you that here. So I'm gonna dodge, and then I'm gonna melee. Dodge, and you can see it on the left I have Lethal Current. And then I'm gonna melee, and a huge explosion. And then you can see my class abilities recharging pretty quickly. I'll show you guys an exotic at the end of this that kind of loops. The gameplay loop is infinite and it puts all these elements together. So for the next aspect, we have Tempest Strike. So this states while sliding, you can activate your charged melee ability. And this will unleash a devastating uppercut that travels along the ground in front of you, damaging and jolting targets it hits. So I'm gonna slide and bam. This one I don't think is super good in PvE, but it definitely has its use in PvP when you're fighting in the Crucible. But it's also pretty cool, so if you just want to do something cool, it's definitely an option. Now for the last aspect, we have Ascension. So while airborne, you can consume your class ability energy to summon your Arc Staff, propelling yourself upward and creating a burst of energy around you that amplifies allies and jolts targets. So for me, I'm on controller, so that's B long press. If you're on mouse and keyboard, it's whatever it's tied to, it'll tell you. So I'm gonna jump, hold my class ability, and then I become a helicopter. And there's an exotic that works really well with this that I'll also talk about at the end. All right, now to the fun part with some exotics. So these are 5 exotics that work well with Arc Hunter. The first one is Blight Ranger. So attacks you redirect with your Arc Staff deal massively increased damage, and you can also generate orbs of power for your allies. And then also guarding with your Arc Staff does not consume extra super energy. So I'll show you that here. So normally when you pop your Arc Staff super, it would use super energy, but as you can tell, it's going down at the normal speed. I can't test the redirection here because these enemies are not ranged, but this actually does a pretty good job. If you're ever in an encounter with a lot of like sniping enemies or enemies from range and you just want to redirect them while using Arc Staff, this is definitely a fun option to use. Next up, we have Liar's Handshake. So in my opinion, these are one of the strongest exotics in the game. So it states using your arc melee ability or being hit with a melee attack will allow you to follow up with an extremely powerful melee counterpunch that will heal you. This one synergizes super well with your aspects, flow state, and lethal current, as well as on combination blow melee and your gambler's dodge. So I'll show you that here. If you ever want to be a punchy boy, but you're not on Titan, you're on Hunter, this is 100% the exotic for you. So I'm gonna get a kill, dodge, get a kill, and you just do this infinitely. Everything explodes, everything dies. It's a lot of fun. Highly recommend. See, I lost the charge here. Let's see if I can get it back. Yep, and then I got more health. And now I can just keep looping. Yeah, Liar's Handshake, pretty good exotic. Up next, we have Gifted Conviction. So this is a recent addition to Arc Hunter. So it states activating Ascension or Tempest Strike throws bouncing explosives at nearby targets and jolts and damages them. And then jolting nearby targets grants you damage resistance. So for this, I'm going to be showing off with the Ascension aspect, and then you should be able to see some bouncing explosives. So I'll wait for these guys to spawn. And then I'm going to pop it. Yep, a lot of kills. Super cool for ad clear, and there's a lot of really cool builds you can do that get your class ability fast. And you see, I pretty much already got it right away. But this is just synergizing with a lot of my aspects. All right, so for the last 2 exotics for Arc Hunter, I'm not going to be showing examples because it's pretty self-explanatory in the description. But if you want to be on Arc Staff, Radiant Flux is a very good option. So it just says quick successive attacks with Arc Staff increase its damage output and duration. So if you're on Arc Staff, as you remember, you have the light attacks and heavy attacks and the blocking. So you're just going to light attack a bunch of times. So if you just want a general use super for Arc Staff, this one's pretty good for that. And then the last one is Lucky Raspberry. So this one is going to turn your Arc Bolt grenade into something that's actually pretty strong. So it increases the chaining capabilities of the Arc Bolt, so it's going to make them bigger. And then damaging enemies with Jolt lightning strikes and collecting ionic traces both grant additional Arc Bolt grenade energy. So you can get it back a lot faster by damaging enemies with Jolt and collecting ionic traces. And then additionally, they stun overload champions. So this one's good if you like Arc Bolt grenades. And with that, we are done with Arc Hunter. So we talked about some supers, we talked about the abilities, we talked about our 4 aspects, and then we cover some good exotics that are good for Arc Hunter. I hope you learned one thing here, but if you didn't, that's fine too. If you need something shown in the video, just let me know and I can record some extra stuff and put it out. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. See you later.